and Rangers journal time.
Well, welcome back to everybody to Rangers Journal channel. My name's Scotty and I'm delighted to be joined by Nikolai to talk about Bo Svensson in relation to the managerial vacancy at Rangers. Nikolai, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
So could you tell me and the Rangers supporters a wee bit about Bo Svensson, if that's okay, his managerial career so far?
Yeah, I mean, although he's from Denmark, he's Danish, he's almost more German. He had a playing career for many years in the Bundesliga, and then he took on a few Bundesliga teams. He was in Austria to begin with, Salzburg, and their feeder team, Liefering, did really well. Got the chance to go back to Mainz, where he had a playing career, did really well for them until he didn't, and it sort of crashed. Took over Union Berlin before the beginning of this season in the Bundesliga, but was already sacked after 6 months after a period where he didn't really succeed in changing the team the way he wanted to. So he went from a year and a half ago. He was probably one of the hottest coaches in the Bundesliga, and now he's I would say his value has cooled off a little bit.
Fair enough. Where's he managing just now? Is it Copenhagen?
He's not been managing for since Union Berlin this winter. There's been rumors about him going to Copenhagen if their coach moves away and so on. He came from Copenhagen. He played a lot of years in Copenhagen, so there's a natural link.
Yeah.
But I think with what he's done at the Bundesliga and how he proved himself, how he was capable of delivering a clear style as well, both especially in Mainz, maybe a little bit less in Union Berlin. I'd still see him get a job outside Denmark.
What's his tactics? What's his style of play like?
So at least what he says it, I had the pleasure of interviewing him before this season, is that he wants to play like a progressive kind of football. He focus on possession. He's not obsessed possession. I'm not trying to make him out as the new Guardiola or anything like that. He's not a disciple of Guardiola, but he likes to have the ball. He likes to see his team be attacking. He likes to see his team be brave. But I would say he's more structure kind of manager in terms of him being really good at organizing teams. They are always very difficult to play against his teams. I think he has lacked at the end of Mainz, and especially when Union Berlin, I think he lacked the ability to add that extra level to his tactics and make his teams more attractive, more attacking. So I'd say he's a classic. How would you say it on the islands? Like a classic 4-4-2 manager who can build an organization, who can build a structure. Perhaps lacks a little bit in terms of developing those ideas into an actual output.
All right. Okay. Sounds interesting. Where do you see him kind of managing next if it isn't Copenhagen? What's his level just now if he's got quite a low stock?
So if where I could see him go, or what are you asking? I mean, like I said, he went from probably being the hottest prospect of the Bundesliga. When he came to Mainz, it's worth pointing out that they were battling relegation. They were almost certain to go down. He turned it around. They stayed up. They played a good half a season after that. And at that point, I feel like he was destined to go to one of the biggest club in the Bundesliga. That was the way it seemed like. And now he always also he likes coaching in England and would like to coach in England. But yeah, I'm not sure his next destination would be in the Bundesliga. I feel like with what happened at Union Berlin, although I don't think he was to blame for that necessarily. I think he might need to look outside Germany for his next move.
His next move. How do you think I'm trying to think in terms of his next move. How would you think his tactics and stuff would work against, obviously in Scottish football, Rangers come up against a low block quite often. How would you think he would cope with having like a ball demanding team?
Yeah, that'd be the interesting thing to see, because of course when he coached in Mainz, when he coached in Union Berlin, there were lower bottom teams, meaning they didn't have as much possession as he wanted. I can't remember it from the top of my head, but I think Union Berlin had the third or fourth lowest average possession per game under his tenure at them. So it's going to be a challenge. But like I also started off by saying, he was coach at Liefering, the feeder club for Red Bull Salzburg, where they are very used to playing a kind of game where they control all the games, where they would win all the games, and so on. So he has done that before in his career, and could be that it actually suits him a little bit better. That's he depending on what players he have, but that could be that him having to play against teams that stands deep, that he doesn't only have to focus on defending, only on the structure. Could be an interesting task for him, but it's not something we've seen on the highest level, so to speak. We only seen it at Liefering in Austria.
Did they manage to win the league with RB Salzburg when they
I
managed?
mean, he wasn't at Salzburg, so RB Salzburg has like this, what would you get, like a graduate team. So it's not it's official, not officially their team, but it is their team. They play in the second league of Austria. They can get promoted, but they provide players for RB Salzburg, and I think he won the most of his games, which you would expect any coach pretty much to do. So he has a good name. He has a good name in that Red Bull uh, dynasty, if you want to call it that, definitely. And there was rumors about him going to Salzburg, or rumors about him going to RB Leipzig as well. He also used to play under Jurgen Klopp, so they know each other from back in the days in
Yeah.
Mainz. But they played really attractive football. But again, he also had a squad that you'd expect them to win and play that kind of football.
What was his chosen formation? Was it a 4-2-3-1? Was it 3-4-3?
I'd say he's pretty pragmatic. I'm not. I
Right.
don't think he's set in stone that it has to be a 4-3-3 or 4-4-2. The reason I used the 4-4-2 phrase early on was just to give an example of maybe a kind of manager who could be seen a little bit old school in his approach to football. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he's played with a back four line for most of the games at Union Berlin and Mainz, but I think he's looking more at what material he has available, and then he sets up his tactics from there. So depending on if he goes to Rangers, what he sees is possible. I wouldn't rule out that he goes for a three back line or five back line or four back line. I think it depends on the club. I think it depends on the players, and he's not so much a number kind of guy, more as an approach kind of guy, if that makes sense.
What's his relationship been like with the players when he's managed? Does he get a good rapport with them?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't heard anyone speak badly about him. I don't think he's that kind of player that you develop a really close relationship to. I think there's a natural distance between him as a manager and his
Yeah.
players. But when he left Mainz, it was very emotional, obviously, because he did well for them in the beginning. He had a long career there as a player, and you heard players coming out in the media and speaking very positively about him. So I think he's the kind of manager, kind of person who has a good relationship with his players, but he's not the father kind of type, or he's not the friend kind of type. I think there's a natural respect between him and his players.
Yeah, yeah. What's he like on the touchline? Is he a motivator? Is he
He's
animated?
quite,
Is he calm?
it's, yeah, it's interesting because when you hear him in press conferences, he always seems very relaxed, very, yeah, he's not someone that you would expect having anger issues, but he was the first coach in the Bundesliga actually to get a ban for getting too many yellow cards during a season. So he definitely has temper, and you can see that he wouldn't say he loses it on the sidelines, but there is something that if something goes against him, a referee decision goes against him or his team, he can be a bit angry, aggressive about it. So it's definitely someone who has a lot of temper at the touchline. Yeah.
All right, that sounds quite good. Sounds quite good. Can you see him maybe managing nationally one day?
The national team, yeah. I mean, there was rumors because when Denmark had to get a new coach this summer, it was a long process with the intern became the interim coach and so on. And in the end, the federation could only afford someone who had recently been sacked. So he was definitely in the run for the national team. And I think one day, yeah, depends on where his career goes from now on. Like I said, everything goes very fast in football. 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, you would say that the Danish national team was a what do you say was not enough for him because he was reaching towards higher positions. But now you would probably say it's a step too high. So I think he has to find the next club that he decides to go for needs to be the right fit, because this is the one that determines in which direction he can pick his club from in the future. So it'll be interesting to see if he goes to Rangers or wherever he ends up, and how he will do there, because that's going to be decisive for his future role as a manager.
What would you say is his biggest strength as a manager?
I say it's relatively quickly realizing the potential of a team. So building a core, building a group, and then the structure, the organization. I think when you hear other managers talk about playing against his teams, sorry, they always say that the most difficult thing, or why it's difficult sometimes to play against his team, because they leave very little space on the pitch. So they are very solid at the back usually. I'd say that's his biggest strength, to get a group of players together and then build a solid foundation around that team.
How does he man? How does he deal with pressure?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when it went south, so to speak, in Mainz, there was no stopping it, and that's probably the worrying part. Like that he had such a good start to life at Mainz. Like I said, he saved them from relegation, got them up. The first 6-7 months were good, but they ended that season losing, I think, 7 or 8 out of the last 9-10 games, and there was no coming back from that. So it seems like when they started losing, he didn't manage to turn it around. Whether that's him having to deal with pressure or whatsoever, I don't know, but that's probably the worrying part, because every manager, even the great ones, at some point they experience a crisis, and that's when you realize how good a manager they really are. And so far at Mainz and Union Berlin, he hasn't been able to show that he can make that turnaround during a season.
All right, I think that's fair enough. Would you say the pressure's maybe his biggest weakness then?
I think it's his biggest weakness also so far. It's been to change maybe his philosophy and to take it to that next level. Some coaches, they come in and from the very moment on, you can see that what they're actually saying is also what they're doing on the pitch. I feel like there was in Union Berlin there was a mismatch between what he was saying that he wanted to achieve and what the approach that Union Berlin actually played the games with. I mean, he was talking about changing the team from being very defensive to being more attacking, but there was no statistics that indicated that that's how they were doing. And when you looked at their games, you couldn't necessarily see a development in the team. So I think that's perhaps his biggest weakness. And like I said before, the fact that he hasn't been able to change things when things starts to go bad for them, I'd say that is biggest weakness. Yeah.
All right, okay. Well, Nikolai, thank you for coming on.
Yeah. No worries. You're welcome.
Do you want to tell the viewers where they can find you?
Yeah, they can find me on both on Twitter and Blue Sky, Nikolai Lisberg, and you're welcome to reach out.
Aye, that's appreciated, mate. Thank you for coming on again.
You're welcome.
Cheers.